Alex, I've been on this kind of kick about maybe the 80s and the 90s and malls and stuff like that. Have you noticed that?
What was the last thing you said? The 80s and 90s and what?
Malls.
Oh, yeah, malls. Yeah.
Yeah. Like those kind of things. I've just been... Yeah.
West Oaks.
More the concept of malls, But I think there was a movie... and I don't even think I ever actually saw this movie, but it's a pretty famous movie that had the word mall in it, and also a guy with a really funny name. Remember Paul Blart?
Mall Cop?
Yes.
I love that movie.
Good?
You know why? Well, I'm sure if you and I watched it right now, we'd be like, this isn't any good. But that movie came out when my son was the perfect age for that kind of comedy.
Okay. Lots of physical comedy.
He was probably 7, 6, 7, right in that wheelhouse. Maybe he was 8. I don't know what year did that movie come out, but it was
probably in the 90s.
No.
2000s?
No. My son was born in 2004.
Okay, yeah. You're right. It has to be. Okay, so but malls were still a big thing then, right?
Sure. I mean, maybe they were going out, but maybe that's what even made it funnier, having a mall cop in 2011.
Yeah, it was very, very dated. When you think of Paul Blart, how would you describe him? What are some things that he's doing? He's like the photo of him in the movie poster.
He's on a Segway.
Like? Yes, yes, he is.
That's what makes it funny.
I want to talk to you about the Segway PT. The Segway PT. Do you know what PT stood for?
Like a PT Cruiser?
Personal transporter.
Oh my God. You know what's funny is that the only place you really see Segways these days, and I'm sure we'll get into it, is tours in Austin specifically.
That's right.
Austin's still clinging to the Segway, and see these goofy people moving around with helmets on, going 1 mile an hour, wearing helmets and capri pants.
Keep Austin weird. Keep Austin weird with the Segway.
It seems like Austin is keeping the Segway business alive with their tours.
Well, it's not alive. It's not alive. It's long since departed, and we'll talk about where it is today. But
dude, I remember a 60 Minutes story on Segways. And what was the guy's name that you're about to say?
Dean Kamen.
Yes, Dean Kamen. I remember a 60-minute story on him right when Segways were, I don't even think they'd been out yet. They were about to come out. And it's if you could get your hands on watching this segment, it talks about how cities are going to be revolution. Like we're going to redesign cities, that this is a revolution that we're just at the beginning of, that we can't even imagine what life in 2020 is going to be like.
This could be more important than the internet. This could be more important.
They oversold the Segway so hard. He did. This is the opposite of what Wrigley did, where Wrigley created a demand for something that didn't exist. It pushed a little too hard. And this is what happens when you have a half a penny stick of gum versus $5,000
complicated device
that goes 1 mile an hour.
Well, now let's back up a little bit. The Segway was actually pretty cool. It was based on a self-balancing wheelchair that Kamen had developed.
Right. I remember that.
And it had the ability to,
like a gyroscope kind of thing, right?
Yeah. You step on it, and there were little motors that would keep it upright, and you didn't
super
really have
technically complicated.
Yeah. All the kind of things now that we're seeing in drones and one wheels and all these devices and scooters of today, but it was early. It was one of those things that might have been a little too early to the party. But yeah, they had a self-balancing wheelchair that had the patent for the self-balancing wheelchair was granted in 94, and it was filed in 94 and granted in 97. So it preceded the Segway by
that's
about
a cool
4
idea
years,
too.
5 years.
That's a very cool idea.
Well, you're right. It caught fire in the hype machine, and people were just I mean, like Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos and all the Silicon Valley tech visionaries and all the newscasters jumped on it and all these feel good stories. You mentioned
Well, I
60
think the
Minutes.
Amazon warehouses used those too right away, didn't they?
Yeah. It was
Before they had like robots doing it. They had people on these stupid segways.
well, it
I shouldn't say
was
stupid.
that was very judgy. It was first unveiled to the world. Now, you mentioned 60 Minutes. Do you remember how it was unveiled to the world? December of 2001 was Good Morning America.
No, I don't. I didn't see that.
GMA. It was Good Morning America. They had a the set had like a little curtain, like a little round curtain, and there was Dean Kamen on it in the round curtain, and the round curtain pulled up, and he's riding it around.
Did he have a helmet on?
No helmet.
See,
no, this was.
Yeah. The helmet's one of the things that ruins it.
Well, he was probably the best Segway rider in the world at that time.
The only.
Right. Well, that was the joke. But he was pretty comfortable on the thing. Well, the launch from 2001, 2002, people were blown away by it. I mean, nobody had ever seen anything like that before, right? The self-balancing aspect of it. They got tons of investment. They blew through a ton of money, and they were expecting to sell 100,000 units in the first year. And by 2003, so 2 years after it launched, guess how many units they had sold?
2 years after the launch?
Yeah.
And their goal was 100,000 a year?
Yep.
Man.
Guess low.
10,000?
6,000 units by 2003.
Wow.
So of course,
where would you buy one though? Online?
I think you had to buy it directly from. I think it was kind of like the Tesla model. They didn't have dealers or anything. You couldn't go to Academy and pick up a $5,000.
See, maybe that was
Segway.
The problem though.
Yeah, it might have been. I mean, hindsight, right? One big thing that really set it back was several software glitches where they had to actually do recalls.
Oops.
And so, in 2006, you couldn't push an update to software to anything like you can today. You can do today, everything is wireless. Back then, it was a process to update the software or to update a piece of hardware. But much like a vehicle, it was a personal transporter, they ended up having to recall these things. And it got so bad that in 2009, the company was sold to a British businessman named Jimmy Heselden, Heselden. And Jimmy Heselden had the business knowledge in 2009. He was doing really well. He had a lot of money. He thought he could turn this thing around. Well, you know what happened to Jimmy Heselden? He was out on his Segway in September of 2010. He was riding it, walking his dog near his estate, and he drove it off a cliff and died from multiple blunt force injuries and to the chest and spine, consistent with a fall whilst riding a gyro bike.
Oh no!
That's what the coroner said. So the new owner dies in 2010, and that really.
I don't think I'd be driving that thing anywhere near a cliff.
Well, that what they say is he was walking his dog, and he got out of his way to let some hikers go by, and maybe the dog did something, and he just like went over the edge. And that was a bad sign. But you're right. They still are seen today. They're not currently manufactured. The company that ended up buying them is called Ninebot, and you can still get Segway branded scooters, but they're not a traditional Segway. They're two wheels, but instead of being side by side, they're front to back, kind of like the ones we rode in Cleveland, right? Like a bird scooter.
Yeah. So do you think it was a distribution issue? Like if they had sold them, if you could buy them for $1,000 at Academy, do you think they would have made a bigger splash?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the reasons they failed. That's a great question. They couldn't sell it for $1,000 because it costs more than that to make it, right? So they'd be selling them at a loss. and maybe that's a strategy.
I mean, you're trying to get people to chew gum, right?
Yeah, yeah. But chewing gum, the cost unit there of giving one of those away versus giving away a $5,000 to $10,000 Segway is a huge difference. There was also the problem that they were pretty bulky and heavy, so you couldn't really take it on public transportation like you can maybe a bicycle.
Oh,
You
you
couldn't
can't
really
put it in
put
your
it in your
car.
vehicle, right? Right. If you want to take it somewhere to ride it downtown, like I want to drive downtown with my Segway, take it out and ride it. That wasn't a real possibility. It was also a problem, like what we were talking about initially. The overhyped launch was a problem for it because immediately people had these super high expectations about what it was, when everybody would be riding them. And when those things start to crumble, the whole buzz that they had around it fell apart, right?
Yeah, they totally oversold that. I'm just wondering if there's a world where it could have made it.
Well, let me give you a few more reasons it didn't. There was also regulatory issues and safety concerns. People, do you have to ride a helmet? Do you have to wear a helmet to ride a Segway? Can you ride them on sidewalks?
How fast can we get them to go?
They're banned from sidewalks, but they're too slow to go on streets, right? And then there's these high-profile accidents, and every time that one of them crashes, it ends up on YouTube.
And there was kind of a wider berth than a bicycle, right? Like
Yeah,
if you were on a sidewalk, it would take the whole sidewalk.
Yeah, you're definitely taking up more space than just a human body, right? So you're taking up a little more space. If you were riding two of them side by side, you would be taking up the whole sidewalk for sure.
Yeah, everybody has to go single file.
So there's also just the whole backlash against them being uncool or dorky.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see? So the song. I think it's called "Riding Dirty."
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen Weird Al's parody of that, "White and Nerdy"? Well,
No.
guess what he's doing in the White and Nerdy video?
Riding a Segway.
He's riding a Segway, yes,
Yeah.
and so he leaned into that dorkiness, and that's the whole reason Paul Blart rides a Segway, right? Is because it's just ridiculous looking to some people,
So reeling it back, what problem were they trying to solve?
I think it was that last mile mobility problem that is often you can get a bus to take you somewhere, then get you close to a place, but there's always that last mile, or you have to walk a mile from your house to the bus stop, and you don't want to get all sweaty, so you just drive. But the problem is with last mile mobility, it needs to be something you can take with you on the bus, right? It needs to be something, or something that is portable enough that you can actually carry it and use it. If Segways had been around when the Bird scooters and stuff started coming out and they could get the price down, that might have been something they could have done. Was you had an app and you just rented them downtown. But
I mean, the 60 Minutes story, if I remember, and it was, it's been 25 years. I believe they were talking about a world where people have them instead of cars, and they would redesign cities where you wouldn't need to drive very far.
Right.
And everything you need is only a mile or two away, and everybody's got a Segway, which is fine if that city exists. But you can't build a city, you can't build the Segway first and then the city.
Right. It's again, as we've talked about with many of these dead ends, it is a problem or a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And those can happen. They just can't be super expensive.
Well, it was kind of a niche item, right? And it didn't really solve a mass problem. And what's really funny too is, they talk about micro mobility. Have you heard of that? Being electric skateboards, one wheels, e-bikes, all those things. Those things are now getting very popular. E-bikes are very popular. The Birds and the scooters are very popular. But the thing that's different about those is they are actually more portable and they're more affordable and they don't look so stupid, right?
Well, and one of the ways that those got popular was by cities buying them and renting them out to tourists and for, a couple of bucks. Or having like Lime things where you just like drop it off, and people can just grab one and go. And, yeah, those are so much lower cost and portable. And, I think that,
I think they're also more rugged, probably.
Yeah, you can't have something that weighs 1,000 pounds and costs $5,000 that's going to solve a lot of these mobility issues.
So I've never actually been on one. Have you?
No.
On a Segway? I'd like to try it. I would like to just see what it's like.
I'm surprised you've never been on one. In fact,
I'm surprised too.
Yeah, I mean, there's an alternate universe where
where I owned one.
Well, not only that, but this stuff takes off and you have a YouTube channel and people are sending you free Segways all the time by different manufacturers and different weights, and that it's totally something that you would have been the market for. Like if you didn't get one, nobody's going to get one.
Yeah, and the knockoff companies from China are sending me Segways, SIG or Segway with a Z, Segways.
Yeah, like I said, you're the target for this, and if you didn't have one, then it was never going to make it, because you love like emerging transportation technology, right?
I do. I love anything that makes you go with a battery.
Early adopter.
Well, that's the Segway. If you've ever ridden a Segway out there, hit us up. We'd love to hear what your experience was, not at Dirt Nap City. And, maybe it was a stepping stone to where we ended up. Maybe it was something where we ended up with some better alternatives because of it.
Sidewalk throne, 2 wheels and a dream machine that cost more than a loan. The brochure said you'll be changed. The crowd said okay. I saw one glide so proudly to the curb and back away. Wow, it leans so clean. It's the king of them all. Couple weeks. You needed special charging and a safety lesson too. A price tag like a spaceship for errands in a zoo. These X all said revolution with a straight and shiny face. Then it became the thing you ride when you lose a bet in place. Whoa, it glides so wide. Couple weeks. History said, whoa, nice try. The future took another train. All that swagger, all that chrome, just for